Controversial stuff. Now I know y'all be loving this shit right here. N-I-C-K mumbling is right here. People in the house, put them hands in the air. Cause if you don't vote, then we don't care. 1, 2, 3 times 2 to the 6. Jones in for your fix, so that devil politics mix. And when I fudge, you let punk. Shut the fudge up and back the fudge up. While we fudge this track up. On your flags up, on your flags up. On your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up. I tore in, now I tore out. Hands up now, hands down. Back up, tell me what you're gonna touch now. Republicans in now, Democrats out. Guns up now, hands down. Black up, tell me what you're gonna vote now. Dabbling, 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 dabbling. Keep dabbling, 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 dabbling. Come on. Keep dabbling, 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 dabbling. 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 You wanna mess with dabbling in politics? You can't mess with dabbling in politics. Listen, we debate it all every week Saturday night, and this YouTube thing right here. Yo, we're doing it all the time. So you better get some better views and get saved up on your dime. So we got the gang set, so don't complain yet. 24/7, never begging for a rain check. Old school dabble is blasting out the political shit. The back and forth shit, put bounce in the dabble pit. On your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up. I ain't torn in, now I torn out. Hands up now, hands down. Back up, tell me what you're gonna touch now. Republicans in now, Democrats out. Guns up now, hands down. Black up, tell me what you're gonna vote now. Dabbling, 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 dabbling. Keep dabbling, 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 dabbling. Come on. Keep dabbling, 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 dabbling. 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 Hey ladies, where you at? Hey fellas, where you at? And the dabblers that don't give a fuck, where you at?
Welcome to a special edition of Dabbling in Politics. I am Mumbling Nick. With me, as always, is Mr. Liquid Cryptid. Hello, sir.
Oh boy.
John started a little early on us. Luckily, we didn't miss anything. He went through a boring thing. He just had someone on. I don't know who this person was, but Karem just came on, and it doesn't. I'm going to bring it up, but it doesn't. Sounds like they're having issues. He might ask Karem to leave the room and come back in. But
hopefully,
yeah, we will. I will bring that up.
Yeah, I watched a little bit while we were in the intro. Go ahead and bring it up. But I watched a little bit of the intro, what was going on. He's had that person on before.
Okay. I was looking, are they like a musician or something, I think? I don't know. I was trying to figure it out.
I can't hear you, Brian.
They're a trans activist.
Gotcha. Okay.
Can't hear you. Hey, you get it sorted out. I'm going to go put the AC on.
You get it sorted out.
He's going to go put the AC on?
Why isn't it on, Johnny? I'm up here in New England. We are seasonably warm up here. I'm guessing Florida might be a little toasty down there right now. Oh, man. Let's see if we can figure this out.
And while they do that, I'm going to...
Brian, you hear me? I can't hear you. Go back out and come back in.
There we go.
Go out and come back in. Abe, I'm sorry. I'm running late. It's my last show. So I will get to it. Ava, I'm sorry. But
Ava.
If you want to come back after, I just want to talk to Brian and then I'll bring you back. Okay?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
I'm
one of those
sorry,
insufferable
I
people.
was thanking all the people
Okay.
from my show, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
they were here. I was looking at my Twitter feed.
Obviously, I
It's
am.
okay. I love
All
you.
right, all
Well,
right. So
not
I'll see
obviously,
you
but
back
being left,
here
I am
in
pro-trans, but there are
at
some
3,
that
okay?
they do themselves no
Brian can
favors.
get
There's
his audio working.
one in
I know,
particular.
exactly. If you
I
can't, I'll be bringing you back sooner.
Okay, I'll call.
I forget the person's name, but they intentionally go to a restaurant and try and get people to say,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen that one. Yeah.
Remember.
it drives me crazy because I think some
No,
of that is an honest mistake. So what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? But
yeah, I'm not anti-trans at all. I, in fact, don't care. You do you.
right. Yeah. I wish it wasn't even. Yeah.
It's the it's ma'am trans people that bother me. You know, it's just, hey, you know what?
Yeah. We actually have some good
Let's be
trans people.
realistic about.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some good ones in the Dabbleverse. We lucked out that way. Like I like
Oh yeah,
Annie.
Annie
And,
is great.
yeah, great. You know. And yeah, the train wreck ladies could be a little much, but they Helga handled it all right, I thought. So
Oh yeah, I love Helga and Lisa.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're the I don't give a shit what you think
Right,
about kind of
right.
trans. Like,
Yeah.
we got a couple of those where I work too, where it's like
you gotta unmute yourself, bro.
when I first met one of them, I said he because I didn't know what was going on,
Yes.
and she was like, "Oh, I'm trans." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I just
Okay.
call her she from now on.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
it's not a big deal, and she's pretty cool about everything
Yeah.
anyway. And there was one dude that transitioned that I'd known for years and years, and he transitioned, and it took me a long time to remember to call him by his new name or her
Right.
by his new name, because I'd known him for years as one name, and then now it's another name, and he didn't or she didn't care. She's like,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. You know, she's happy.
I went to college as an adult. My employer paid for it, and I did a project on that. We had to pick some sort of discrimination or something in the workplace, and I actually found some interesting stuff. Like they even help you. You know, your coworker's gonna have trouble adjusting it for like you got to give people some leeway at first. You can't just like do what that person does when they go to a restaurant and just like freak out. You know, got to give like
Yeah,
especially they're like if you work there a while, they've known you as this person, and now so you got to give them some time. So
oh yeah, exactly. And fortunately, where I work as well, like I don't have to worry about retaliation or whatever.
right.
You know, the whole, you've seen. I don't know if they're true or not, but I've seen stories of people being fired because some trans person said, "Oh, they find out I'm a Trump supporter, so they said they don't feel safe." Where I work, the trans person would actually get fired for that.
Let's see what
Because
Mr. Oh, sorry. go
We
on.
are truly diverse work
There we
environment.
go.
Diversity of people, ideas, and races and everything. We're a
Oh, nice.
worldwide company with worldwide
Views.
worldwide views.
Views.
And speaking in the Justice Department and saying that what CNN and wouldn't even call it the MSNBC, called it the CD, claiming that they were in the back pocket of the Democrats, and
They
that
are,
was
Brian.
illegal, and they should be prosecuted for it.
Well,
Now,
I'm not that,
you
but
can say that's just.
Oh, I
Donald
think all
Trump
the
being
mainstream
dumb,
media
but
has
Donald
basically
Trump
proven
at
itself
the
to be
Department of Justice
in
at
the pocket
another
with all
of
the
his
USA
pep rallies.
aid money
Mind
that they've
you,
been getting, or
no
USAID
president
money they've
goes
been
there for
getting.
a pep rally. The last two times.
Politico
I
had
think
to shut down because of their loss of the
Justice on
USAID.
private business. There may have been a
interesting.
photographer
I actually have to look
shaking
into
hands with
something.
the
Someone told me this
Department of
this morning, and I haven't
So
looked
it's
into it yet.
largely always
So
seen
I probably
as
shouldn't
a
even say it, but
place
I'll
that
just say it.
separated from
The
the
disclaimer: I actually have no
branch,
idea if this
though
is true
the
because I
head
didn't
is
look into it.
appointed by the
But that
executive branch
supposedly this
and
past
time-honored
February was the
tradition of
most
what this
government
country
spending
is
we ever did
about,
in 1
and in
month,
fact tested
despite the
in,
cut. So it'll be
the
interesting.
battle
I haven't
in
looked into it, but
hot fire,
we'll see.
hot
We'll
battle
see if
during a
Mr. Doge is doing
revolutionary
what he
war
says
for
he's doing.
just such principles. We have decided that
That
it is
that would
best
be
that
kind
if
of
the
odd.
executive
But then
branch
Yeah.
again,
Honestly, I would find it weird too. Like even though I don't like Trump, I would find it odd if that is true. Especially February is a short month, so I'm trying to figure it out.
it's like, how do you cut, tens of billions?
Yeah, well,
About 100 billion or close to something or over that?
like
And
I said,
and
I trust the person, but I don't know their source, so I want to look into it myself. Obviously,
Or he brought in
Yeah.
guests, right? Victims of crime guests.
this is-
And he left, dancing with the YMCA. So it was, and he took an overabundant time, deflecting from his own programs and placing blame elsewhere, which is what he always does. But the most shocking part, and you couldn't miss it, was the point when he stood up and he said what MSNBC and what CNN did was illegal and they should be punished for it. He's saying that to the very people who could do that. So he is signaling them, much like Tony Soprano would single one of his cases.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I hate to agree with Brian. I hate the mainstream media, but I don't like this threatening prosecution on the media. It's to try and get them not to say critical things about you. Very
Yeah, I don't like that
anti-Christian.
either. Freedom of the press is freedom of the press, right?
Right.
I mean, they can say whatever they want. It's, they've already lost credibility anyway.
Right.
So I don't see what the point of litigating any of their bullshit is, because everybody's pretty much
Brian, are
done
you
with
worried for your own life now? I mean,
Right. They've
everybody's
hurt
pretty
them.
much- yeah.
They've hurt themselves, because even when they do report things that are true, there's going to be a large section of even me. I look elsewhere to make sure it's true when they say something. I don't trust them, even if I agree with it. Like I just said, it would help my point of view if the government did spend more money but I obviously have to look into it. I'm not just going to take the fucking original source.
Not like me at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right.
I don't care. That's not my job.
I
My
don't see the
job is
point.
to
Also,
show
as I said, freedom of the press is
the
important.
same people
Yep,
that are pissed at
absolutely.
me today may like me tomorrow. He's a dumb son of a bitch, but goddamn, he got that one right. I'll live for that. I don't have any partisan, ideas or leanings one way or another.
Yes, you do, Brian.
You know,
Sorry.
If Donald Trump can dodge a bullet, maybe we all could be so lucky.
it's amazing. I mean, I'm shocked by this whole fucking thing, Brian.
I'm over shocked. I mean, hey, John, that's in the rearview mirror with the democracy. We either got to circle around and pick this bitch up, or we got to do something else, because man, that ship sailed. I keep people go. Oh,
I'm hoping they bring up Schumer and him folding. I want to know what these Democrats think of Mr. Schumer just caving to the Republicans and getting 9 other Democrats to do the same. So,
Oh yeah, with the continuing resolution.
yeah, like I don't want a government shutdown, but it's their one chance to get something. You know what I mean? To negotiate. And classic Democrats, they were weak, they were pathetic, and they just caved. Like the House didn't, thankfully, but Mr. Schumer is so out of touch. He's got to go. Even Republicans would never do that. They would negotiate to get something. They wouldn't just fold.
My profession, the press, to provide that information, and it's harder and harder to find it because
Well,
there's shit out there that you have to wade through.
I'm okay with the government shutting down.
And just people telling
Right,
trying to get the
okay.
facts straight.
Fair
Few
enough.
and far between.
I was gonna say you probably were okay with whatever was in a lot, not
knowledgeable
everything, but a lot was in the bill anyway.
and
But
very
I think it was just one page, right? I didn't even look at it.
no, I didn't look a lot either. My
Who
my
was the
bigger
man who
point.
said, think of how
I know there were
stupid
some cuts
the
in there,
average
obviously,
American
but
is.
Let's go.
Half of them
and
are
then
stupider than
Pentagon going up
I'm
as usual.
I'm realizing
Um,
that more and more because on
but
Facebook I post.
I just mean you're almost sending a message like you're allowing this Elon Trump fucking craziness to just take all the power away from Congress, continue, and you're just saying you're okay with it, like just voting everything through like that. Was there one chance to have power and they just gave it away?
Fox News talking points, they're Donald Trump talking points filtered through different intermediaries, so it ends up in mass media, either through social media or through legacy media, to try and teach you what he wants you to learn. And that's par for the course for any politician. And like I said, I get as much shit from the far left as the far right, John.
You do
and
not.
Neither one of them seem to be very good at vetting their facts. So I actually
Jesus
got into
Christ,
disagreement with
this
guys
guy
on the far left,
vetting
guys on the
facts.
far right.
I got a video
Guys
after
on
this
the
we can
far left
watch
said,
about him
Sounds
vetting
yes,
his
I'm looking
facts.
forward.
demeaning to women.
Oh,
I don't like
before I
news.
get and I'll make a quick announcement.
Stupid.
We are going
And the
to
guy
actually I'll
on the right
announce it
said,
after.
"You're an idiot."
But
I
yeah,
don't want it in
I
there
hate
'cause
this far left,
it's
far
adverse
right
to my
shitty. Like
religion. And I looked at them both and I said,
his
"Both of
middle
you
or whatever, the
want the same
Democrat,
damn thing.
whatever,
Why don't you just
moderate,
admit it?
they
Pretend
lose. They're
at the end
losing.
it's the
Nobody
same
wants
thing.
to
Unless
hear
you
from
think
you. The
exactly like
far,
I do,
whatever you consider the
can
far
go
right
for
is
it. At the
winning.
very least,
and you don't listen to what you consider the far left.
Familiar with each other than they
So, and
really
you just keep
know, and they
losing.
should
So
get
you
to
no
know
one,
each
you
other.
don't.
I think
Schumer is
the-
your moderate.
Vast rest
I
of
think
Sorry.
the
people about
issue is
doing
that
our
they do
business
keep
as
listening to the
without
far
having to
left.
deal with the
No, they
idiots
do
on both
not.
sides
Man.
of
Like,
the
I don't know
fence.
what they consider
Here's
the
my
far
other
left. I'm
rant for
guessing
the
they would
day.
consider me far left.
Brian,
I don't
first of all,
know.
I can't get a lot
I mean,
of
like the
votes
ultra
today, but
progressives,
I
like the
picked as many
people
as I
out
can
there
remember,
burning Teslas, I
of
would consider to
this
be the
show
far
anyway,
left.
and
Yeah, like
clearly
I'm
they
not
go to
in the
you
destroying
because you've
property. I am
done
all
a
for
wonderful job.
protesting
Brian
against
knew that
Elon
as a prior
shit,
to seeing
boycotting, I
that.
should
He said he
say.
might
But
try and
yeah,
forward it. But anyway,
but
I
no,
do want
to me, I consider the far left are like
but
that
I do want to
trans
show you this, and
activist that
I
goes into
agree
the
with this.
restaurant and tries
So
to get people
I'd love
to
to get your
call her
take
by
on
the
it. Have you
wrong
seen this?
I
pronoun.
consider, yeah, that's far
Yeah.
left.
To me, I'm more of an I hate labeling, but I'm more of an economic populist, who
Yeah.
has progressed the socially. I definitely lean progressive, but a lot of it I don't. I'm not trying to say I don't care about trans people, but I just wish it wasn't even an issue. Just let them live, and you let these people live, and then just ignore it. But
Exactly.
no,
That's
yeah,
which is how it should be. If you want
right.
to be trans, whatever, you be you. Stop trying to push your shit on me and everybody else.
And then you got,
Just you be you.
and I feel you may agree or disagree. There are people on the right that they're just obsessed with the issue, and it's like just fucking ignore it, just let it go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the people on the right, the people on the far right need to
Yep.
chill out too. Shmuel Buckman, I
It's
think,
Mr.
wants to come in.
Oh, Mr.
I don't know
Shmuel.
if you want to allow Shmuel in. It might turn into a huge argument
Taking
while we're trying
calls.
to stream snipe.
I know what the fuck you're talking about.
Like we're trying, maybe not
Oh, you see it,
today.
Brian?
We're trying to snipe
Yeah,
John.
no, right. First of all, my first comment is either that is
We-
AI or
yes.
she's lying about
I'm
having
bad. I wasn't
sex
even. Oh my god, I had the
in
chats all
whatever
down. I didn't even see any.
she has 20
Here we
years of
go. All
experience
right.
in. Secondly,
Far left and
that's
far.
the whole
Let's put
point
some
that
up.
I'm talking about. Are
Yeah,
people
turn up the
talking
volume
at
a little
each other
bit.
instead of with
Gotcha.
each other? The farmers have
I
far
think the
more
middle
time,
came
admit
out
it,
for
and sit
Trump.
down and talk to them
I'm saying the
than
middle
do
won.
everybody else. And no, you can't
I hate
plan
the
from
middle.
year to year with a family farm.
Hey, we're
Now,
both
if
the
you're
middle at this
if you're
point.
an industrial
True.
farmer, Monsanto, and you own the state of Oklahoma, okay, then
I'm not
yes, you
sure
can-
which
you
people
can
he's talking
definitely,
about.
predict. You take
Boston
some of
is
the volatility out of the
Very
market.
Catholic,
Nobody
so I
can
think that's
predict
what he's
Yeah,
weather
trying
well
to
enough
I
for natural
gotcha.
insinuate.
disasters
Yeah.
But let's
or
turn it up.
locusts or anything else. So no, that's bullshit. And this is coming from a guy whose wife, grew up on the family farm. We still visit the family farm. I love her family farm. And I've even had to shovel shit on the family farm, steer cows, and ride and put up hay. So I love it to death. It's part of me growing up that way. But here's the deal. That's not accurate to say that they don't deserve, empathy. Everyone deserves empathy. What are you gonna, curse the person who's late to the table and go, you didn't get here in time, fuck you, you got nothing.
Is he saying empathy?
Welcome them to the table and you say, I'm glad you
Talking
saw
out the side
light.
of his
God
neck.
bless you. Let's
Yeah.
move forward together. Instead of, don't, excuse me, the very essence of Christianity is, a little bit of forgive and
Oh, I
forget.
love
I'm
these
not saying
people.
that she's claiming to be one. I'm just claiming
This
that
is
those who
once
do claim to
again
be a
they're
Christian
trying to talk
should
to an
forgive and
audience that
forget
they don't
and move
possess.
on with our bad self.
Correct.
We're not going to go anywhere forward until we decide that we're working together for something. Now, everyone is, variety is the spice of life.
Shmuel,
Trump-
Variety doesn't have.
I
to
can.
be
You can say I
divisive
consider
for that
Trump his
spice
own
of life.
thing. To be honest with
there's
you,
no
I
reason
think
See, I'm different than you, Brian, because
I think
honestly,
Trump tries
now
to
I see
cater to
all
the
these.
far
I'm sure
right,
you saw that.
but I don't think
town
he's as
hall
far.
in Asheville.
Yeah.
I see him as
He is,
a
man.
con
I-
man sort
this
of
is all.
thing. I
Look,
know you
man,
guys won't
as
agree,
far as
but
I'm concerned, it's
he,
all on
like when he
some
said build the
level or
wall, he
another
just said it and it blew up. So
manufactured.
that was his
This is
anthem. You know what I mean? I
What,
just
that
think he
veteran
just
wasn't
goes with what
serious?
works.
I believe he was.
So I
I
think
think
he.
he's more.
I do believe
Go
Go
he
ahead.
ahead,
was.
sorry.
I'm
No,
not
I'm just saying. I
doubting
just think
his
he caters to the
sincerity
far
for
right,
a
but I don't
moment.
think he's
I'm
believes
saying that
everything
there are
he even
people
says. To
who
be honest with you.
manipulated his
Yeah,
sincerity.
I think of him more
to
like
promote
a
their
the Bernie
brand
of the right,
food. I
where
feel the
Okay.
man has been
has generally the
victimized more
similar
than once,
values,
and
but
look,
not
man, I've been
really,
in this business. I
accepted,
know
and
how
not
we
really on
operate.
that side. Just basically sort of
So
kind of
none of
like
it.
Bernie's kind of a Democrat because he has to
But
be,
no, you got to
Right,
extend
yeah.
empathy to
whereas I
those
think
who.
Trump is kind of a
I
Republican
just
because he
feel at
has to
the end
be.
of the
Okay,
day,
no, that makes
until we
sense.
can
Like, yeah, Bernie,
accept one another
when he's
for
not
who we
running
are,
for
we're not
president,
gonna
he's an
lose each
independent. He
other.
only ever goes
Brian, you will
Democrat
agree
when
that a lot of
because he
people
knows
are
our
real
system's
angry as
third
Exactly.
party has no
dude,
shot. Yeah.
You got people right now who are worried about the Social Security.
I'm angry. I'm getting screwed. What? I'm not part of humanity.
Social Security is going to be
I was
fine.
going, hey, we're getting screwed doesn't mean I like
Do you
it.
think they should
I'm
lift
just-
the cap? I'm
telling
just
you, it's
interested
going
on like
Hey,
you know
guys,
like
might
rich
wanna look
people
over here. We're
pay
getting
whatever it
fucked in
is
the
max out
ass.
pretty early.
Oh, don't
So
listen to him.
just
He
wondering your
likes
thoughts.
it. Who said I like
Um, It'd probably be a good idea. Because you know the way Social Security works, right?
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
was
the
yelling
people who
about
are
it. He's
paying into
mad.
Social Security right now are paying for the people who are
People.
getting paid
Right.
by
Yes.
Social Security. It's like legitimately a Ponzi scheme. That's what a
Yeah.
Ponzi
I'm just
scheme
saying
is.
there's got to be at some point in time.
So
Everyone's attempt to
I
go
would say,
forward,
yeah,
we
probably
have to
increasing the
meet each
cap
other
on the
somewhat
wealthy
other than
is
in the
fine.
extreme
But also keep in mind the
If
wealthy
we
don't make a
keep
lot of
together in middle
income.
ground, it's going to get nasty.
Yeah,
Either.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's a lot
Most
of
of their money
investments.
comes as
Yeah.
capital gains,
Yeah.
right?
Not
Can't we
they don't
just
have
get, you know,
as much liquidity
as
as
far as
people
I'm
believe
concerned,
or think.
just get
Yes.
everybody
Exactly.
healthcare and education, right? Take care of that. Don't cut the education department. Don't cut education. Come on, don't cut
They're
education.
cutting school
Not cutting
lunches.
education.
Don't cut education. And by
They're
God,
not cutting
everybody,
school
if I
lunches.
can go into. My son went to a hospital when we were in Italy,
Yeah.
visiting in Italy, and I mean,
They're
they
cutting
they
the
ambulance
every kid gets
to the
school lunches
hospital,
to
they
just the
worked
needy,
him up,
which
they
is
checked, they got
fine.
X-rays. I don't know.
Yeah,
PIC,
I can.
PIET,
That's a compromise I can live
everything
with.
they
You
could
know,
get on the
I can
guy.
live with that.
They
Like
tested
I'm more
for 8
for
hours. They
the
brought back
the
test.
meals, but that's
I
something
pull
I
out
can live with. If
my
people can,
wallet and I go, all right,
like,
I have
my
insurance.
kid.
And they go, no. I go,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
not
I
the
really
richest
have
guy in the
insurance.
world
They go,
by any
no,
means,
you
but
don't
I
need it.
don't.
You don't need
We
it.
don't qualify for any of that shit,
Everything is
and we
free.
get by. So
And
I
I'm
get
going,
it.
that's the
Yes.
same health care
Right.
I get in the United States and would pay thousands for. And I got it for free in Italy. Think about that.
Yes.
That's when you're casting your vote, and I urge everyone to vote. This is your last show, John. For the last time, I'll preach it. Get out and get involved. I may not like the Trumpers, and God
Can
knows
I
there are
can
some
I
of
add to
them I just
this?
look at and go,
Absolutely.
"Do you drool
I urge
all
people
day
to
long?"
not
I
vote.
mean, there's no other way to look at it, but
Don't vote.
that way.
Don't just go
But
vote.
some of
Don't
them
go
are
vote
very
to vote
nice
to
people,
vote to
most
get the
of them
sticker to
are.
say I voted because
And
everybody
if
else
we
voted.
just
Don't do
can't
that.
find
That's
common
terrible.
ground for us to solve our
Underinformed
problems,
and
we'll just
uninformed
split up.
voters
So
are the
one thing
worst.
I remind
Yeah, I
everybody
can,
about them is that
and I will also say,
I don't like how they vote, but
make
they
them
have
give us
enough
something to vote
chutzpah in them
for. I
to
mean, I
go
know
out
people like Trump,
and
whatever,
push
but
their
there's no
agenda
alternative
forward.
at this
And for
point.
that is
You know,
the
the
American
Democrats
way.
are not giving a
That part
legitimate
is the American. Now the
alternative.
other shit that comes with it ain't.
So fuck them. Make
But
them
that part of
fucking.
it is truly
I have no
American.
problem
And
with I do
the
protest
people who
votes, and
are
like
the
obviously I can
strong
do that. I live in a blue
vociferous on the
state,
left and progressives
and
and
guess
people
we
in the
need more of
middle
that
who are
shit. I
taking their
guess
kids to
even in all
classes every
states. Like, yeah,
morning.
they
Go
act
out
like
and get
if you
involved in
vote,
this government.
someone's
And I mean
supplying the answers. They're
involved
not
by
supplying
not
the
just
answers to
voting,
help us. It's not
driving the
happening.
elderly to the
No.
polls, volunteering on phone banks,
Turn
making
it up.
sure that you volunteer as a judge and get involved in your community. This is your community. This is what we have
Wait, did you just say
in
volunteer as a
democracies
judge?
to actually be
Yeah, go ahead
involved
and
in it.
volunteer as a
You
judge.
can't be
You
involved
could be a
when
volunteer judge.
60% of the people vote. That's considered a good voter turnout. And a super minority like the MAGA group, which own about 30% of the vote, can win with 30% and one. All you got to do is convince one guy in every precinct, Donald Trump ain't that bad. Well, he ain't a black woman. All right, I'll vote for him. There's one of those everywhere. So you got to get out and don't let the super minority win. Donald Trump talks about he steals it
Super
from,
minority?
Nixon.
Dude, yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean?
He's wrong.
The silent majority
I
are those people
not.
who
I know it's
do not
just
vote.
an anecdote, but I have a very good
needs to
friend
change. And
who
until it
is
does, we're
who's
fucked.
very supportive of my like he always asks me about politics or whatever. He's a gun owner and everything like that. That's like the one conservative thing about him, if you consider that. But I'm fine with protect. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that shit too. I'm just not into all the crazy gun. I think
I
we
live
need.
in a place where even the
Well, that's why
liberals
when
have
people say, well,
huge guns.
Gotcha.
more than
Yeah.
half the
Gun
country
supply, so I understand
wanted
that
Donald Trump.
completely.
No, they didn't.
And he hunts and
Half the
everything
country
too.
didn't fucking vote.
But
Yeah.
he voted
Well,
Trump this time
The accurate statement
because
is
how bad things were
that,
under Biden, and
a
figure
majority of
Harris would be
people
the same.
who
And I
showed
understand.
up to vote voted for
I
him.
tried
That is
telling
the
him like, look,
majority, but
I don't
that's
even
not
think
a
it's gonna
majority of
matter.
Americans. It's
I think I'm
7
wrong
billion of
because
them.
I think
So
Trump
let's
ended
see,
up doing
looking at
worse
the
things or
popular
trying to
vote.
do worse things than I
Oh,
thought he
wow.
would.
Trump
But I
won.
totally got that frustration, and that was someone who's a liberal who had enough. You
Doesn't
know what I
say.
mean? This is not some silent minority or whatever he's talking about.
Kamala Harris
Everyday
Oh,
won
normies
exactly.
got
Yeah,
pissed. Yeah.
running
almost
Kamala
75 million
was a
votes.
big
Right.
mistake in
That was
having and
6,285,585
getting Biden elected. I will say literally is what got Trump elected. again.
Yes, yes.
I think Biden
but it was more
legitimately
that
is what got
won in
Trump elected
2020.
again.
That doesn't really fucking matter. But the point is
Well, we'll never know, but I fully
that
believe if
they
Biden
either
decided not to
didn't
run
vote
and they
or
had a real
voted for Trump,
primary
and that was
and
the
got
problem.
somebody
And
else
since
besides
the
Harris,
voters,
I think there's an
turnout
excellent
was
chance that
down in
person
this
would have won.
election,
You know, but
fewer people voted. They
they
stayed
they
home.
pushed Harris
I
just
mean, but
because of
who?
the.
Home and then bitch about it.
I don't.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
Yeah, I'm
I mean, I think the other two front
Like
runners
me,
would have
thanks,
been like
Lieutenant.
Buttigieg or
oh,
Newsom.
Yes, and a shout
I
out
think
to
were the
Dabbling,
two
Gino,
yeah.
Democrat
all
front
my
runners. And
fellow
Newsom, there's no way
John
he's going to win the presidency.
member
Not,
I
not,
fucking
not
hate
what he's done
Buttigieg.
with
Though.
California.
love you as well.
Absolutely
And of course,
not.
my buddy Clay Dabbling.
Yeah,
And
he's pretty much
Buttigieg
Thanks for
done
all the
now.
great
might,
memories, Johnny. It was awesome.
but he kind of fucked up the Department of
And
Transportation, but not like
Yes,
he has anything
it
to
was
do with
terrible.
it.
I don't know that.
He's just
Oh,
not
you
a good
think I know?
manager.
I don't know who
He's
that
an
is.
empty vessel.
And
He
I'm taking
Yeah.
says
nonsense.
he reminds me of
like
I want to be Obama, where Obama could.
Yeah, that's why. I'm
Buttigieg
not
is a
reading
great speaker,
nonsense.
but he's full of shit.
So Trey
And it's
Taylor,
like this
this
is a
was
guy that wrote a
best
paper
17 months of my
on
life,
Bernie
Palmer
Sanders
Rush.
and socialism, and then is a corporate Democrat. And now he's like trying to get
And,
almost like
so Brian, but
conservative Democrat,
what the
whatever
fuck
he
is
thinks is
going
gonna
on
work,
that
you know.
Elon Musk
And he was a
this
mayor
Doge
of a not
bullshit,
very large city in
like,
Indiana, and they just,
that- I
like I
think
said, they
found that, like,
they
he
saw a
hasn't-
gay
yeah, let
man
me play
who
you
was
this
in the
congressman.
military who
I don't
speaks
know if he's
well.
a
That's what the
congressman.
Democrats saw. They are obsessed with identity politics. They think that's how people vote, and that's not how
you see
people
this?
vote for the most part.
Okay.
You know, some
Right.
obviously
Right.
some people do,
Yeah, no, why? Go ahead.
but most people do not.
Right.
You know.
He's saying what
There you go.
I'm sure you feel as well. But
Oh,
here
this
we go.
thing. All right.
Oh, I haven't
Where's
seen
the
that.
independence of the committee?
Oh,
Where's
yeah.
the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius.
Pineapple, aren't you
He's a
supposed to be
very
live right now?
incredible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he found are so eminent, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. Where's the independence of the committee?
So I actually did like this guy's speech. I don't know how much of it's performative or whatever, but
Yeah, but at least he's not
Yeah.
being a douchebag and trying to get kicked out so he can be on MSNBC.
no, true. Yeah, absolutely. At least there was finally a Democrat doing something. You know what
Actually,
I mean? And not,
actually
yeah.
having. No, I don't agree with him, obviously, but
Right.
at least he's doing it the right way and not trying
Yes.
to be a performative
Right.
douchebag.
Like, please kick me out. Please kick me out. Or like Schumer
Am
just
I
fold
back?
like a fucking wet blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of that guy? I agree. Like, where's the checks and balances?
No. Well, they got to do it. They're right there in front of them. They just have to do it.
I can't.
If they
Yeah, I
had,
can see you.
let's be honest here. If they had any, if they had any
Well, I
power
thought he
over
was
what
very
Doge
ready-
is doing, they had already
but
exercised
not
it.
inaccurate.
Instead, they're
He was at many other
bringing
fields
lawsuits
that,
and
you know,
things rather
I
than
asked this
actually
question
stopping
in the
anything
White
because
House, and I remember
it's all
asking
being done under the
about
executive
his
branch that they don't
does
have
he
any
believe
power
above
over.
law? And she said no.
Yeah, but I mean,
Clearly he
they're
does believe
supposed
he's
to have
above
power
law,
over
and
the
clearly he
wallet,
believes that
obviously, and
Elon
that's
is above the law, and clearly
obviously.
he believes that
I'm
he
still
is the
trying to
law.
figure this
He's
Doge thing
Judge
out, man.
Dredd.
Like I'm
That's
not
who he
trying to play
thinks he
ignorance
is.
here, but
And the fact
nothing
It
like
is
that's
weird.
ever happened. I don't know what
not
they're
Judge
allowed to
Dredd,
do,
or
and
who
like
is
I
Judge
hear
Dredd. So,
conflicting things.
yeah,
You
I
know what
like
I
the
mean?
idea of him. The red in the
Like
face
what they're
of
allowed to
thumbs
do,
up. I
what
would
they're
just
not
so
allowed to
like
do.
to
Their
see more people
unofficial
get that angry.
branch. Their,
Yeah.
Well, no, they are an official branch. They're a rename of the
Well,
previous,
nailed it. Look, it's a
not
code
branch,
branch
but
of the law. You don't
there
get
was a
full
previous
4S. Just
organization.
Okay.
Show your ass up and
It's like the government.
Clinton sat there for
I forgot
fucking
exactly
how many
what it was
hours
called. They just
with
renamed
all
it
their
to Doge,
questions? Come on.
basically. But
You
it
know, you
was
can't
it was
have it both
a
ways. You
department
can't
that
say, well, he's
essentially
above
did the
it,
exact
we're
same
not.
thing as Doge.
Then get in
Okay.
here. You just
But,
quit
you know,
playing
obviously
games,
it
son,
didn't.
or I'm going to send you to bed without your
Back when we
fucking
had
phone.
inspector
I mean, at some
generals
point
that
in
all
time,
got
you just want to be
fired so they
like
could
admin.
do this
So
whatever the
shut
fuck they're doing.
up.
Yeah.
Grab your
Right. So it's
ass in here,
essentially
sit
a
down, and take
department
your
or
medicine.
a department in the government
That's what
under
you gotta
the
do.
executive branch
You know,
that
but
uh,
you've got
was responsible for doing what Doge is doing.
no matter how low
And they
the
just renamed it to
Republicans
the
think,
Department of
the
Government Efficiency.
Democrats cannot rise above the bar. And when are they going to get new leadership? When are they going to speak to a wide, and not just the progressives? I love the
Oh my
progressive wing
God.
of the Democratic Party, but if you can't embrace the middle and some of the middle,
That's
center
all
right
they
people
fucking
and
do,
bring them back
Brian.
into the party, you're
Tell me
doomed.
something
You're
that the
doomed.
fucking
So
people
if
like
you-
me
if
got.
you want to
Tell
be
me
doomed
something.
and right, I get you. But if you want to play politics and help everybody
I
else,
don't know. I
and,
think
you know,
leading
it-
too far towards the progressives has
so
been
it's
hurting
two
the
steps
Democrat
forward,
Party. I
Ah,
think
dude,
people are
we
tired of it.
definitely have to
four
do a
steps
show on that
forward
because
and 10
that's
steps
something I
back with
couldn't
Donald
disagree with
Trump.
more, man. I don't think they listen to the
on a multiplier
fucking
that
progressive
is
wing at all.
unfathomable to me. Parts
We'll have to
party
write that down for a
No.
show.
They
Yep,
resemble 18
that's
the
a good one.
Gilded Age.
That might be the one
In
we
the
finally get heated at.
1800s.
I'm waiting for
Probably,
the blow.
maybe.
Progressives
I don't
got a
know.
hold of
Yeah,
it.
it's going to
A
happen.
Republican,
Mm.
Teddy
I've got a
Roosevelt,
couple
did
of
what?
things where we
Well,
can
Yeah,
talk
busted.
about that.
eventually, yeah.
Did trust busting.
Well, there's one in particular that we might have to do it on not a YouTube
particularly
platform.
necessary to have it done
And you probably
in
know
the
which one.
Okay.
press. It's particularly necessarily to have it done in entertainment, in any communication or education field. That's it.
Well, if Elon Musk wanted to cut all this wasteful spending, right? How is it okay for Donald Trump to spend $3 million every fucking weekend of the taxpayers'
think
money
this argument-
to go fucking golfing?
So I'm torn on it because I don't have a problem with presidents. They all do it,
I mean,
right?
what-
They all do it.
Well, they have to. It's a
coming out of the
necessity of
taxpayers' money. Where
being
is
a
that
president.
oversight?
Everywhere a president goes,
Where-
it's going to be
how is that
spending
okay,
$3
Elon?
million a day,
Well, because Elon's
unless the
those
president
things.
just sits in the Oval Office or the White House all day,
Necessary trips.
which is not
My-
going to
Look,
happen.
you're
So,
get
No.
used to
regardless
Donald
of where they
Trump
go or
and
what they're
the
doing, it's going to be
how they're
spending
gonna
all
be.
that money. And also,
After the first
it's a
100 days,
24/7 job
we're
for the
seeing
entire
what
4 years.
We're already seeing what his
So he goes. So the president,
memo is
any
going to
president,
be.
whatever, goes and
He's
spends a
going
few
to
hours golfing,
sign
or
executive
goes
orders
down to the beach or whatever for
the
a
entire
couple of
time
days.
he's in
They're
DC
still
every
on the
day.
job,
Bring the crew in,
Yes.
call it a press
Yes,
conference,
I agree.
and and it's a stressful job. You
then
see,
he's going
presidents
to
that start like
Oh, how
Obama
they-
is a perfect
fly out
example.
early
Yep.
At the end of
Thursday or Friday
4
for
years, he was
Mar-a-Lago,
already
to
almost
travel. Other
completely
places,
gray
spend a little
Yep.
time in the White House.
from the
He's
stress.
gonna get
So
briefed once a week.
My
weekly
issues
basis.
with it,
That's
number
that.
one part,
Yeah,
it, just,
And then other than
it
that,
doesn't
we're
look
gonna
good
lay low
when
and
you're
just
trying to
burn
cut
out the
things
course
to
for 4 years, and then
the
he'll
amount
come
of
back if
the
he's
going
still
every
popular
weekend, I guess,
for
is
4
what
years and declare an
part of the
national
issue when
emergency
you're
and
claiming you're
decide
trying
he
to
has to have
cut,
a third term.
government spending.
Just kidding. Well, maybe
But
not.
obviously the
Could
bigger
happen.
issue I have is that he
totally
goes to
agree with that.
places he owns,
Could
so that
happen.
money, a lot of that money
Let's
goes
just
into
get
his
through the
pocket.
next 50 days
And
get to 100 days.
well, it goes
president
into the
isn't-
business,
Gotta
yeah,
take
and he
care of
he
that.
does
That's a lot
charge. I
of
did look it up. He
You know,
does charge
how many
cost
executive orders
to
can they
the
pass
to the
over
government.
time? I mean, every damn
So
thing.
that he's
And
not
then
really making any
snuck one
profit. He's
in
just
the other
charging what it
night,
costs
Friday, I
to
believe it was, Friday night.
keep the
Yeah,
room there.
before the weekend.
Interesting.
Just
So at least
process.
that's nice. It is saving a bit actually, because he's not because
VA,
the government isn't
Voice of
being
America, you're no
know,
more.
charged retail,
With a stroke
or
of his pen, got rid of
or
support for
more than
smaller
likely what happens
civilians,
most of the time is
got rid of,
overcharged,
It's
health
right.
services,
so
got rid
that
of priority
whoever
business
owns that
foreign stuff,
whatever
and then the
hotel
coup de
chain or
grace,
whatever they're going to
he
be at,
killed
gets
the
some
Voice of
sweetheart
America.
deals.
So
And
congratulations.
not that
This
even
is your new
like the
Wild
bigger
West of
issue to
America.
me
Donald
is
Trump is sitting high in
the
the saddle. And for just a
foreigners or,
quarter, if you
or
donate
CEOs that
$7.25,
go
we'll give
spend
you a
money at
chance
his
to see the
places.
high sheriff
That's
face to face.
I
You'll
don't know.
never
Like
see him.
Jimmy
But you
Carter
know,
famously gave up his peanut
that's
farm,
that's
so it didn't look like
that's
he was
America. It's a
laundering money
WWE
or whatever,
event. It's
taking
something out
bribes
of,
through the peanut farm or whatever.
idiocracy.
And Trump owns
Why?
whatever,
Can you
multiple
remember? Thank you.
resorts and everything. And,
Does he still own them? I thought he
I don't know.
transferred ownership over to his kids
I'm the
to
first
become
time.
president.
Thank you.
Yeah, the
because
first
it was
time he ran, he said
ridiculous.
that they were whatever running it or
Again,
something. I
now
don't
he's
even think
trying to
he's
say,
faking
I feel
that
bad
at this
about it. Too
point.
late.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I did that. Probably should probably look into that. Yeah, I was
Uh,
under the assumption that he was
Darius
divested
P,
from all those
good luck,
companies to
John. What's your
become
next career
president. But
move? To hang out on my boat.
I don't think
That's
there's
my
any
next
particular
career.
law or
That's what I did yesterday, Brian. I
specificity
was on my boat,
required to do that.
And,
Yeah, I know there's,
and I was,
and I didn't know this until Trump was president, but the emolument clause of the Constitution claims you're not supposed to profit off the presidency. We all know they do. I don't know through loopholes or not, but or in the future, they do what they
Yeah.
shit now, and then when they're out, they get paid for speeches and all sorts of shit, blah blah blah. So he's far from the first one to do it. I'm not saying he is. He's the only one. They all fucking do it, but he's just doing it more openly, I guess.
Yeah, it's well, I guess transparency, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'll give him that, I guess.
Brian, I'm going to play you this now. This is just a look back on all the Donald Trump promises from the past. Brian, let's sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy. Here we go. Here we go, Brian.
I promise you, I will not be taking very long vacations if I take them at all. There's no time for vacation.
I don't consider
A
myself
couple hours on the
workaholic.
golf
I
course
work,
is a
but
vacation.
Yeah, that one was wrong. He takes lots of vacations. He just doesn't take long ones. He takes 2
Right.
days.
Work to me is going on a 2-week vacation. If somebody said you have to go away for 2 weeks, you're going to Africa on a safari, there's not going to be any phones. You know what? You just get me out of here, right?
When you're in the White House for a limited period of time, I'd be there all the time, working. The difference, I wouldn't even have time to comb my hair the way I comb it. I'd probably just have to comb it back. So he's going from Washington to Hawaii. He's going to play golf like so many times. You know, he plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour. You know that, right? They say if they could play that much, they'd be even better players.
If you're at the White House and you have so much work to do, why do you fly? Why do you leave so much? You know, you think you'd want to work. Because I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
So he's taking the Boeing 747.
So John said all these promises. It's really one promise. They're just repeating over and over again.
Yeah.
One that if I felt the country was running better, I wouldn't give a shit either. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna, as long as eggs didn't cost $1 zillion and I could pay rent no problem. He can play all the fucking golf he wants. But
Oh, exactly. In fact, my point of view on the government is the less it does, the better we are.
Yep, you're not the only, I know people that hate Trump that don't mind when he does shit like that because they figure, well, he's not making decisions that I don't like. He's playing golf. You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Well,
In my last
playing golf,
column,
especially
I
for
said that
presidents,
there
is
is a
code for,
chance that
doing
Donald Trump will
business.
probably
Basically,
drop
that's
dead
talking
a lot of
sometime in the
business
next
is
4
done on
years.
the golf course.
Yes.
Statistically, it is conceivable, knowing the Don and how he spends his time, it is statistically a 1 in 4 chance that Donald Trump will meet his demise on the back nine of Doral as he shanks one off the 9th tee into the woods.
So I am no
The
fan of
ball
Trump,
and
but
his
this is,
body both
he
hitting the
mentioned
ground
dodging a
at the
bullet.
same
Now he's
time.
mentioning him dying on a golf course.
That
Not that it
is
means
a
anything, but it's a little,
chance of
Cram's
1
getting a
in
little
4.
morbid here with Trump,
So
almost like
I
he's
would
wishing for his
suspect that if
demise
Donnie
or thinking
goes
about it
in the next
anyway.
4 years,
Oh, of course he is.
that's how
Yeah.
Donnie will go. And depending on how, maybe it's the best game of his life. He's 2 under par on every hole. He's had a hole in one. It's the Angels are telling him, this is your game. For the last time, he knows this is the best life can get. Hitting that perfect shot, that second shot, hitting it with a 9.
Good thing they're talking about important issues.
Yeah.
Putter. That's the guy
They,
he is.
They talked about Doge for about, a minute and a half.
Yeah. No, it's Trump golf too much, which is something we've been talking about for 8 years at this point. As I said,
Even longer under Obama.
right. And everyone, that's one of those things that people, one of those issues where they always complain about the other side. The Democrats complain that the Republican plays golf too much. The Republican complains that the Democrat vacations too much. And it's just whatever. Like
Just let him play golf.
Right. I told you my issues with it. It's less that he's doing it and where he's doing
trolling
it.
me, so you tell me. I know Shake Your Booty's a troll, but what's your take on Trump claiming America first while simultaneously giving Israel $50 billion his first 40 days in office? Hypocrisy, please.
See,
Well,
that's one of those super
I don't
chats
know
that
what
probably
part of
shouldn't
that
be talked
question
about
you
on
addressed.
YouTube.
Is it the amount of money given Israel, which is consistent with our past actions?
Especially when you saw who
What's
did it.
not
If you go back a
consistent
little
with our
bit,
past
you
actions,
could,
or what
it
should
was
not
a
be, is
And
a
yeah,
guy
Middle
with
Eastern
a
looking man.
very
Yes.
Middle Eastern name and picture.
Yes.
who are as much victims, and in fact, the worst part of the victimization. Of
I actually agree. Like,
nonetheless, the other part about Donnie being
I'm done with
hypocritical or,
giving Israel
bullshit,
and, like I said,
well,
even Ukraine money at this fucking point. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, well,
Hey,
I'm
Brian,
sorry.
you mentioned that he's going to shank the ball, so here we go. I had this. I didn't.
got it.
Yes, here we go.
Here he is with a 9. He's walking up to the ball.
And there's a shake.
Off to the right.
Right, you hit the nail on the head. How'd you do it?
This is a political
See him
show,
play
everybody.
golf?
It's now a golf show.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
play you this one last thing, bro. You'll like this one too. It's very short. This is more of what Bill Madden says, what a serial lying sociopath and carnival barking con man looks like. Here we go.
You said you would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24
Well, he
hours.
probably
Well, I was
thought he
being
would.
a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Wow.
End that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said
Yeah,
that.
all
It
right.
can be negotiated, I think, within.
Yeah, John, we get the fucking point, dude. I think you said this was short.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. I will have it solved in 24 hours
John,
with
I-
Zelensky and with.
What's that?
That's just Don being Don. The better meme would be, I guarantee the war will be done in 24 hours, and so show the suffering that's ongoing. That's there are people in Ukraine that are freaking suffering, and for Donald Trump to turn around and blame Ukraine for Russia invading it, you picked a fight with a guy who's a big. Excuse me, we didn't do anything. They invaded us. So you're full of shit. You're Putin's puppet or what? Look, people say he's an operative. He's an asset. Some say he's just a pathetic fool. And to me, it doesn't matter whether he's the useful fool or the asset. The results are the same, and we've got to do something about it. And instead of that, I'm looking at more of this. Ukraine didn't want this, and they want peace. Donald Trump is so disingenuous when
Ukraine
he says
did want
that
this
Russia wants peace
because they
and
wanted to
of
get
course,
into NATO. That's why Putin.
Yeah, that could be argued.
They just don't want to surrender. I mean, and his rationale
The
for stopping
issue
war
is a
right now
lot
and
more
giving
complex
Russia the
than
land that they've
Russia
conquered.
just decided to invade.
Use that same
Yeah,
logic
that's a
to
very
tell
complex.
Russia
That's a
that they had
you
to
can have like a
surrender in World
podcast
War
just
II
dedicated
Germany.
to the whole
They lost a lot of
Ukraine
soldiers.
Russia thing.
They got in here.
Oh, absolutely.
Too bad. You're gonna have to give it up. That's not the way things work, folks. Injustice is injustice. That's not agreed upon. That definitely frowned upon by the UN and every civil person on the planet. So no, he doesn't get to keep his property. And Donald Trump's an idiot for suggesting it. And that playing that just reminds you of how disingenuous he is. He doesn't know anything about the war. Doesn't care about the war. Doesn't care if the war. He's looking at the bottom line. How does it affect my bottom line? And right now, the United States is his personal property, and that's how he's treating it. And as you can see how he's treated most of his other personal property, he shits all over it.
And how embarrassed were you to watch
So
Donald
Brian's
Trump
okay
and
with this.
JD Jr. Vance beat up on Vladimir Zelensky and then asking him, well, you don't say thank you, and you're not wearing a suit.
John, we talked about this last week. Did you
How
fucking forget?
fucking embarrassing was that?
In my 41 years of covering politics,
said
I've
thank you
never
the
seen
next day.
anything that embarrassing come out of the White House. That's not how you treat your guests in your home. Even if your guests are rude, you aren't. That's called decorum. That's the way I was raised. And by God, that's the way America has been, including most Trumpers I know. They would not put up with that kind of behavior in their own home from their own people.
on.
They know how to, most of them
I gotta
know
mute for a
exactly
second,
what
sorry,
good
buddy.
manners are until it gets to the White House. That was despicable on so many levels, but it was inaccurate to say that he got nasty with JD Vance and Trump. They misstated
Well, he
it.
did.
And there's a reason why they misstated it. JD
Well, he
Vance, everything was fine till the last question. JD
Zelensky
Vance said he wanted to
was
interrupt.
trying to say that
to say
he's
how
some
great
sort of
Donald
last
Trump
line
was,
of,
now he's
of
really
democracy
kicking ass.
against
And if
Russia.
he had been here,
And that if
when this
Ukraine
war
falls, then
started,
Russia's going to come
instead of
across
Joe
the
Biden,
ocean.
this
That's
war
what he
never
was
would have started.
insinuating.
And
No, that's
And in
exactly
order to
what- yeah.
stop that, we need to send our troops, and that's
Yeah.
what's pissed off.
And then said, listen,
Yeah, that's the one part
Trump and Vance. Yeah.
of I was more on Zelensky's side on that whole thing, but that was the one part where I understood the anger or frustration
then he'd
coming from
that
our
during
side,
his first
US.
administration, He could have
Well,
done
that's what
something
Zelensky
about the
wants. Is he
war in
wants us
Russia
to put
and Crimea,
men and
and he
materials
did
on the
nothing.
ground to go fight
So that's why
Russia,
that led to
and
that
we
space
don't want to do
all-
that.
all Zelensky
That
No,
would
I
be
do.
called World War III.
No, I 100% agree. I'm actually more with you. With I have no problem sending all the humanitarian aid they need.
Absolutely.
I'm not a fan of Elon, but I'm fine with putting the Starlink shit in there. Whatever. It's it's all this money and weapons that's just going to keep dragging it on and on. Yeah, and obviously I don't want any boots on the ground from our side.
That day when you were supposed to do your job, you have no control over whether you get to do it tomorrow. You do it when you're there, which is why that's why I usually end up on the wrong side of all press secretaries. With the Biden people was over getting his ass out in the briefing room. They never would do it. They were the total worst communication staff I have ever worked with in the White House until now. So each step has been a step in the ladder since Reagan, and I want to give Mike McCurry his due, and Joe Lockhart, two of the best I ever worked with in the briefing room, and the rest of them were mediocre or were really horrible.
Well, Brian, I mean, if anyone should know about, you have to take the moment when the moment's available. I don't know if you know my history in interviewing. I always miss the question.
Oh my God.
That's your job, is to ask the question. That's your job.
That we're written
and it
for
may
them.
be uncomfortable, and like
Yeah,
you said before, John,
and even politically, John with the worst prank phone call. He had the opportunity of a fucking lifetime. He had Trump on the phone, and he couldn't even fucking do that right because nothing was written for him.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
just talked as if he was the actual. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the most retarded, quote prank call, and then he comes out with like, well, actually getting on there was the prank, and it's like, well, no, actually getting on there was a felony.
Yeah, getting on there, I'll admit it's crazy you got on there, John, but you fucking fumbled the ball big time once you
Well, and
were
also,
on there.
impersonating a government official isn't
Right.
exactly
Yes.
legal.
No. And John didn't really. Oh yeah, that's right. He had his friend call. One party, two party, whatever the fuck that whole issue was too. So he wouldn't get in trouble for making the call, supposedly.
Right up until the moment where Betty Ford said yes. And then that reporter was a genius.
Yep.
So it's never the question. It's always about the answer. So if my question you think is stupid, don't worry about my question. Listen to the guy giving the answer. And that's also my advice to other reporters. You can come in with a preconceived notion of what your question is going to be, but listen when you're in there and ask the obvious question, of which there will be many that no one has yet asked, or follow up on something cogent that one of your colleagues have already mentioned, which, by the way, sits on my page on Twitter, X, on my profile on X, is the question that I asked of Donald Trump: win, lose, or draw, would he accept a peaceful transfer of power 6 weeks before the election in 2020? And he said, if you stop counting the votes, there won't be a change of power. So he was telling us about the insurrection 6 weeks before it happened. All right, 6 weeks before the election. That question came from something that I heard that morning from another reporter. No one else asked it. It was on plenty of people's minds. I was the only person in that room who there were 14 of us. I got the last seat in the last row. And this was during COVID. So they limited him. I was told I could take a seat. If no one showed up, I could take the seat that was empty. Last row on the right, last seat, I took it. Donald Trump looked at me, always spoiling for a fight, and called on me first in that briefing. And I asked that question. And I take no credit for the formation of that question. I only take credit for being cogent enough to listen to other people talking and ask the question that was on everybody's mind. If you can do that, whether they're Republicans
It's
or
a
Democrats,
retarded question.
by no means the only one who's ever done it.
He's mostly patting himself on the back, and I also find it funny. He just said he's the first one that John. So it's like no one else asked. Well, you asked it first. Why would somebody else ask it after that?
I think he got asked a lot after that. In fact, I think he got asked a lot before, during, and after that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure when Karem's talking about, but that was discussed a lot, on talk shows and in the media. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll be reading from the book of Isaiah.
Oh,
Adam Parkamo sent to me. There are two options in this life, my son.
Once again,
which will be yours before you are done.
They don't have the audience that they think they have.
or I am too young for the bourbon.
Well,
and the
actually, I guess on
wine,
John's show
that
they
goes to
do,
that woman who's in your bed.
because there are
You know,
a lot of
some
right
America's
wingers
most wanted. John
like
Ross will
me
personally choke the living shit
making
out of
fun
a
of this
convicted
show
felon.
right
But
now.
first, this important
I,
commercial message.
I
Are
don't know if
gathering
they.
clips to make fun of this.
I don't know if they
But they're
realize how.
certainly not,
Just filling time for
yeah,
you.
they're
Go
certainly
on,
not
sorry.
preaching to
It's
anybody.
just this,
No,
this
they're just
idiot
insufferable, and I don't know if they realize
stuff,
that.
but
Like,
I'm not taking
I
it
think they think they're
because I can't
funny,
stand
but
the
you're
guy.
coming off. They come off as
CCPD 12,
so
thanks for the
smug
20.
and arrogant sometimes. A lot of times, actually.
And let's see, Brian. I don't know if this is true or not, so maybe you could address this. Let's see if there's any pictures on there. No. QWERTY 21, thanks for the fiber, Brian. That's not true. 2024.
I've heard that said, but I haven't seen that. I'd love to see the indications I have is that it was the highest voter turnout was in the previous election. Yes, this was the second higher voter turnout, but I don't know about the number 64%. That may be true because my stats go back to like the first or second week. I haven't seen those, but that still is a proof of the point. You don't need 50% to win. You need 37% instead of 30, but 37% plus one, that's in the same range. And I'm sorry if it just came out as, only 70-30. This is what I'm talking about. Having low voter turnout guarantees that a super minority of people, in this case, 37%, right, are dictating what the other 63% should do. This is proof of
Actually,
my
it's
point. If you
the
want to pick nits on the
51%
numbers,
of the
all right,
64% that turned
I'm
out.
with you. It could be
Yeah,
you're right,
and
but the coping mechanism is
politicians have to give people something to vote for. I'm sick of this. It's your duty. It's like I'm a voter. Don't get me wrong.
Same.
I'd be a big hypocrite if I wasn't involved in this stuff. But I get why people don't like. I didn't care about voting this last election at all because I hated both choices. I was disgusted with how everything went down. I was disgusted at how bad Biden was doing. Harris, I fucking can't stand. Obviously, you know how I feel about Trump. So I didn't want to. I didn't,
Well, I knew I was going to vote for Trump. So
Yeah.
most of my reason for voting this year is we had a lot of good propositions and and some people that I wanted to get in there.
I am I get more into the primaries because usually there's at least somebody in there I may not love, but obviously when Bernie ran. But they deprived me of the fucking there were like 3 or 4 people ran against Biden, but you wouldn't know it. You know what I mean? They didn't really hold the primary like they were supposed to. And then even when he left, they just gave it to Harris. So
They
had to.
even if they become a female,
Yeah, I guess
they're
for
still genetically men,
the money.
and they
The
will have
money.
an advantage.
If they got somebody else in there, they would have
They
lost
couldn't
all
transfer.
the
Yeah, they
campaign
couldn't.
money. Yeah.
Right, transfer all the funds. But yeah, that's why they fucked up picking Harris in the first place. The first one out of the primary, and that's who he fucking picks.
Yeah. Well, she was legitimately a DEI hire.
Oh, it was that's
statement about
that one I will give 100%. Yeah,
yeah. Biden literally said the vice president is going to be a black woman. Except,
I mean, obviously, you know if it's true, but
Harris
something
is Indian, but
yeah.
It's 1% of the
You
population.
shouldn't say that shit. Give it to who you think is most
transgender. So what is that? 3
I
million.
mean, we all
people
know the vice president.
nationwide.
Like I said, it's the
you do the
we talked
math
about
on
in
the
a
number of
previous show.
counties,
It's the
1 or 2
strength and a
county.
weakness, in a
I don't know
demographic
why
you're
it's
weak in.
such a big issue when the bigger issues.
Biden did better. Biden did great with older black people, and Bernie did great with younger black people. Harris didn't do great with black people at all. Women.
No, as I
guess?
said, they
I
don't
know.
appreciate calling an Indian woman black.
True. They just. I even saw multiple leaks out from the Biden camp that he didn't want Harris, but I don't know who he wanted. I guess a different
Doesn't
an
matter
actual
what
black
Biden
woman.
wanted. He
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
there anyway.
No, correct.
And you move on with your life, working together in peace and harmony with your fellow man to make sure that we better mankind for the future. That's my gospel according to Brian.
Dick 89 has been a very loyal supporter of mine. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, Bronco. I am.
James O'Sullivan. I don't know if this is a troll question. What is the best time of day
He's
to
gone.
vote?
I gave him a chance.
Actually, all right. So you get there.
Leave him alone.
Obviously,
He's
Tuesday
fine.
when they had the election.
Remember,
that's the
engagement is
best time to
engagement.
vote. The
Yeah, I
best
guess.
time of day to vote is, and let's parse it this way. First of all, if you're going to vote in person, Tuesday, obviously, but you have many options these days about mailing in your vote or voting early. If you're going to be busy on the day of election and you can't be and stand in a line, then vote early. Vote early. Don't vote often. Just vote early. So if you're going to be that day, morning, there's usually a line. It usually tapers down after lunch because people got to go
The
back
thing I
to
don't
work.
like about
And then from lunch to
mail-in
about
voting
5,
is it's
or
kind of like
5:30 sometimes,
if
local
if you
time.
can't be
You've got a
bothered
good window in there to go, and there won't be
to
that many
even
people
make the
before
minimal
surge of
effort to
people coming
get
to vote
down to a
after
vote
work.
polling place to
There's
vote,
a surge then. So
should you be the
I
kind of
honestly
person to
think they
vote?
should make voting, election
Yeah, I
day
mean,
a national
it also
holiday.
depends on
Not work
where it
and
is, your I
concentrate
don't
on
know,
protecting our
transportation issues and
democracy.
things like
We
that, I
take,
guess. But
vacations for everything else on the planet,
Yeah, but
including
people
a
with those
mythical
kind of
rabbit who
issues are
delivers chocolate
not
eggs. So I think it's okay
are
if you
pretty
take a day
small
off
minority of
to
voters.
actually,
no.
push forward
And
the
also, once
democracy
again,
a bit.
if you're the kind of person that's going
Darius
to make
B, would
sure
you
somebody can
extend an
get your vote
olive
to the
branch
voting booth,
to Stern?
then you're
Yes.
probably the
I
kind of
mean, if
person
I
who's
saw Howard,
also
I'd give
very
him a hug.
concerned about the issues
I will
and
always be grateful to
is going
Howard.
to be responsible and informed
And
voter.
I'll always love Howard and Beth, and
True,
that's just a
true.
fact, Jack. So
Like I said, I
I
think less people should
hug,
vote,
I didn't
to be
feel like
honest.
my hand was squeezed and lift his wallet.
Well, that's one way, I guess.
I don't think I have the strength to lift his wallet.
Ooh, hey, no, tough one. Oh, I was gonna oh.
So, Brian, now that we are in a fascist society,
I like how you say that so off the cuff. Brian, now that
Yeah,
we're in a
those fascist societies that
obvious. I
constantly
don't think
try
there's any
to
hiding.
this fascist society whose
Because
only job
like
is
I love the
to
meme that says, "I don't
reduce
care about a
the
man
footprint of government. You know how they are.
transitioning to a woman. I care about Americans transitioning into Nazis." Because we are seeing now, and I don't give a fuck what people say. Oh, Elon Musk didn't do the Sea Kyle. Yes, he did, and he knew what the fuck he was doing. I got a friend going, "Oh, he's got Asperger's." Oh, really? So if he doesn't know, if he's not in control of his actions, why the
Oh my
fuck
God,
is
the
he in
slobber.
control of a department that is
So
taking
I actually think
away
Elon did
shit we
to
need?
get people like this to say this shit. Like that's what I think they do that shit on purpose sometimes, so they can be like, "Oh my
I
God, look,
don't.
they're calling us Nazis." But that's just my
Yeah, I
opinion.
don't know if he did it on purpose, but it legitimately wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Pictures of it that were taken by photographers who were
He is
for
a
me.
he's a
He
shit
turned around and did
stirrer
it
and
twice.
a
And the one
meme
that is
lord.
most condemning is the one he
Right,
did
right.
not do. The one that looks most demonstrative was the one when he turned around and did it to the back, because all the cameras were on the front. Very few people caught it from the side or the back, and that was Zeke Heil to the max. So I don't know. You call it what you want. You call him what you want. I call it messing with the kids. I don't care. He's another bully that needs to be snapped back, and he would never be put in front of me for an interview, as Donald Trump will avoid me for an interview.
Why would anybody want to have an interview with Brian Karem?
and until we do, it's not going to
It's
get
like,
any
do you
better.
know who else would not have an interview with these people?
Beer
You and
sales,
me.
Jerry. Thanks for the fire.
Right,
Brian, thanks for doing the show. The last couple of years, it's been interesting. And
well, thank you, Vegas Beer Sales, Jerry.
Yeah. And Brian, on that note, I will. Yes, I will say I'm so happy to have been having these conversations. Obviously, we'll still be having a lot of conversations off the air because, as you know, I do call you periodically to scream and yell about the state of America. But let me end with this, Brian. The one thing Donald Trump has succeeded at, it's making America love Canada more than they ever have before.
I don't think so.
I'll tell you, my friend, I have a friend, a Canadian friend. He was in Vegas, and Americans, they saw that he was from Canada. They were buying him drinks and apologizing. That's what Donald Trump has done. Make us appreciate our allies, like Canada and Mexico. While all you Trumpons
Mexico
sit there and try and demonize them.
Well, what they say is that we've been plagued by our allies. We've been doing all the heavy lifting. Boo-hoo us. Boo-hoo us. Well, you know what? This is the world we built, folks. After the ashes of World War II, we built this. We built this, right? Our
Actually, it was
allies. We
NAFTA,
built up the
but
free
anyway.
world. We
He's all
stood
coked
for
up.
something, and now we're shitting on the very thing, not that anybody else built.
It was
We
NAFTA
built.
that actually caused
We're
this.
shitting on our own. It's like picking up your newborn baby,
Which is
We know
under
how-
Clinton.
holding it in your
Yeah, we know how
arms,
Trump
and
felt about
shitting
NAFTA.
on it. That's what we're doing.
Actually,
nobody
I'm,
liked
Hopefully
no,
that's
I'm not a
what we're
fan of
doing,
NAFTA
is
either.
shitting on them
Obviously,
and
yeah.
not strangling them. Because at the end of the day, we have proven that Darth Vader is in most of us in some form or fashion. And it's definitely in Donald Trump. And there is nothing but dark thoughts in Donald Trump. And it isn't
I wonder
that
if these
he will
people
come
understand
after
that that was a
you.
movie.
It's that his minions, his racist, his egotistical, maniacal, ecumenical, Six Flags over Jesus, the Six Flags of the waving hand, the hypocrites. You know who you are. And God damn it, you voted. So those people, we know damn well who they are, and we know damn well they're not going to change, and there's nothing you can do about that. But there are huge numbers of people that we should be trying to reach. And by God, like I said, democracy, all of that is in the rearview mirror. Wake up, folks. Get involved.
Brian, thank you very much.
That's an appropriate rant. Did I do that? Okay.
Thank you very much, and best to Pam and the kids. And I will be talking to you, I'm sure, soon. The next dumb shit Trump does, I'll be calling you.
Yeah.
God.
Send me a link to this one. I'll help promote it.
Thanks, Bri. All right, brother.
Except he's
All
probably
right,
just
happy
going to
trails,
take it
man.
down.
Thanks, man.
John doesn't leave these up.
No.
All right, and now my last guest, who was also, I believe, my first guest on the show, on my last show, Abba Reiser, correct?
Yes, yes, you did it.
Abba Reiser. I got the name correctly. I'm
It's
sorry
the first
for
time he's got it
mispronouncing
correct.
Correct.
It's okay.
In the, I think this is the
I'm sorry that
third time
I
that
was late. I
she's
was
been
reading
on.
all the names
Oh,
on
really?
Twitter and of all the people that have done this show, you included, and I was thanking everyone. And that's the miscommunication we had when you first emailed me. Which, by the way, you emailed me on my alt account that I never really go on. So when you got mad at me and threatened to go on WATP, I was
I did do that.
yeah, I'm like, what? Then
It worked. You responded.
well, only because I
Well, they had
suddenly
probably actually
realized. Wait a
respected
second,
her.
I had Abba on before. I didn't know that. I'm sure you know I get trolled by a billion people.
I said it's like the
all
third
the
time
time.
she's been on.
And I
Right.
get people email me on
One
that
I
alt
now
account
looks familiar,
all
and
the
I remember
time.
he
So I don't know what's
him
real
fucking
and
up
what's
the
not
name
real.
reminded me. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that I apologize for.
And
I don't
the
go
one
back
big
email
show I
you.
ever did do was WATP, and Carl and them are very nice. So I'm sure they were very nice to her. Unlike
Yeah, I'll give you my
Mr.
real
Melendez
email
here.
address. That's
Yeah.
the
Did
one
she
that
go on? I don't think she. I think she.
No,
threatened.
but they would have been nice. That's right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. You threatened to go on.
Well, you're never gonna do the show again.
No, this is my last show. That's why I was like,
Why don't you just
because I've had it with all the nonsense, and I've had it with, like, I just had people showing up at my door. Oh, I meant to send you the anti-trans stuff that someone posted on my door. I'm not going to mention the name, Baby Fat. So anyway, it was anti-trans, and what it
wasn't anti-trans.
I don't know. I'm sure you experience this on a daily basis.
It was you're a bad
but
father.
I do as well. The anti-trans stuff I get is just
Vladimir is concerned that it's been an hour.
Yeah, Vladimir is a. I know who Vladimir is.
posted on my door and run away like the child that they are.
Well, some of the people in your chat, I think even that Clay Dabbler, they're saying some vicious things about me. Like as soon as I got there,
Oh, I didn't.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I'm not reading the chat too much, Abba. So again, I can't really. I put it in members only mode to try and keep out the trolls.
Let's bring them in and I'll argue with them if they want to.
Well, if I see one,
let's do it.
Well,
I'm sorry for putting.
But first, I want to address the topic at hand. First, what is your opinion? I just got done talking to Brian about this whole outrage of letting trans people in sports. What's your take on that, Ab?
Well, I feel like Brian probably wasn't being fully honest about what he really feels, but he was being very diplomatic. I think they're just using it to kind of get away with just the tax cuts and the same bullshit. And
Yep.
I mean, I grew up in the South and I have Muslim parents after 9/11, and we were kind of the punching bags. And then, people like George W. Bush were trying to privatize Social Security, but as long as they were giving us shit as, Muslim Americans, then it's okay. And I think it is weird because they like the laws that they've passed has made it so like I can't change my federal documents, and I'm wondering how that affects their lives because
Well, I just
what
think
yeah.
like
That I
just think
actually agree with.
It's so odd that
That you have
look,
to have your
we're all
birth,
different. Everybody
gender
on this
your
planet is
federal
different.
documents.
They're not the same.
Right.
So I never understand the hate
Yeah,
towards any group of people.
like I said, this issue is like I don't even know how to feel about it. Like obviously I
Whether it be gay, whether it be trans.
how do I want to say it? I just
the hate. I don't
hold on.
understand the hatred for
Said you can identify any way you want, but your federal documents, your important government documents, should have your birth gender on it, especially your passport.
Wetback, although they didn't
Especially
understand
if you're going to go to another
term for a
country.
different group of people. But I mean,
What group of people?
That isn't exactly, as open-minded as the
I don't
United
know,
States.
but I assume Spick is Puerto Rican and Wetback is Mexican,
Whoa.
but I don't know.
Why? What does wetback mean?
I don't know.
Illegal
I have no
alien
idea,
Mexican.
but I do know that in high school people used to say.
Well,
that
that's
I
what
lived in the basement of
my
Congo.
legal
And I said,
Mexican
I'm
friends
Puerto
call
Rican,
them.
not Mexican, you dumb fuck.
But of course,
I
in
know
Mexico, they
that
call
before 9/11,
the
no one in the
legal
South
immigrants to the
really
United States
knew about
wetbacks as
growing
well.
up,
So
they didn't know what I was, so they're just calling me like Egyptian and Hawaiian,
Egyptian.
and then Spick.
Yeah. So it's just
Actually,
there
I
was
really- I
just
really gotta
some
pee. I'll be
need
right
to
back.
just hate
Sounds good, man.
somebody. And we've seen it for every Italians got it, the Irish got it, every group of people have gotten it. And now, unfortunately, for you, Abba, the trans community is getting it.
That's right.
And Donald Trump is pouring gas onto the flames of trans hate by Abba, how does it make you feel that a fucking draft dodger is banning transgender people from serving our country in the military?
It's really disgusting. I always look at him as like a product of his, and narcissistic personality disorder, and I don't even feel like people like him have an ideology about it. Like I think this Elon Musk component and all that, they're want to attack trans people, and then he just started listening because he used to defend Caitlyn Jenner, but I think it's just an easy win for them. Like he crowd tested the trans stuff and people would cheer, and I don't know. Do you think it's people just need a villain because of their economic conditions, or do you think it's just
that's a
projection?
That's a great comment. Yes, they need somebody to blame. They need somebody to hate.
Yeah.
And that's why Trump is in office right now, because Trump has allowed people to be hateful and suffer no repercussions for that.
Did you see that clip of him earlier? He was at the golf course watching the airstrikes in Yemen that he probably knows nothing about, but signed up for. Those signing ceremonies.
Probably pronounces it Yemen.
Yeah. there you go.
But yeah, you were talking about passports, and I didn't understand. Right? Isn't that what you were saying in your initial email?
I wrote you because I went through this weird thing. My passport and my ID say female. I know a lot of people probably have their own views about it, but this used to just be kind of an administrative thing. My Social Security has male on it, and so when he won the election, I realized I needed to go change that quickly because otherwise it'd be a mess. And so what they're doing is if you try to change anything with your passport, they indefinitely hold it. And so a lot of transgender people just indefinitely have had their passports just erased or removed. And when I went to the
I remember
Social Security
somebody
office here
just
in
recently
Portland,
talking
which is
about
a
that
great
about 2
place to
minutes
be
ago.
transgender. I'm lucky to not have to deal with that stuff. I got removed by a federal agent, and the person slammed the curtain because I was trying to get my documents changed because I had so you have a license. says female, your passport says female, and your thing. Look at
Do you mind if we get to that video you got? Or do you want to keep watching this?
Yeah, this is I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. This person's a mess.
Yeah, and John's just I think John uses this issue as like a shield for him because I don't think he fucking cares like he claims he cares. But
Oh
it's
no,
just
he
my
doesn't.
opinion.
In
Yeah,
fact, I think he's actually pretty bigoted against trans people. To
I
tell you
think
the
so
truth.
too. Yes. So all right, we'll take this down. We'll watch the nice video you got here. Then we'll end this thing.
Yeah. All right. So I guess this is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to, I'm presenting here. This is a clip I got from Brian, a show Brian Karem did a few months ago, where he's talking about Elon Musk, and this is when Musk started saying that you are like we are the journalists now. The mainstream media is over, and this is Brian proving him right by saying he's wrong.
Okay.
But now he says X will be the real hub of journalism. Take a look.
This is really going to be the new model of news, which is to gather information from people who are at the scene, who are experts in the field, and summarize the experts in the field and people who are at whatever event is being talked about, and aggregate that into a real-time newsfeed. And I think for the most part, that will be better than conventional journalism. We've got real-time aggregation of the collective wisdom of tens of millions of people. Although something may be said that is incorrect, it is very quickly corrected. Whereas a newspaper that is publishing, what happened yesterday, when you read the article, that article could be wrong, often is wrong, but there's no rebuttal to the article.
Okay.
Do you disagree with any of that?
No, not in theory.
I mean, I know it's Elon Musk, so you don't want to say, that you.
So I
agree,
don't
but-
disagree. You're right. I just don't trust the person deliver. If that makes any sense, the person.
So you don't entirely trust X.
No, and I don't
Well, I
trust
mean, you
Facebook
shouldn't.
either. I'm not saying. Yeah,
I mean, you shouldn't trust any specific source. As we said before, you like even on X, like I have a number of different sources that I'm following across various different ideologies, left and right or whatever, in order to get like a full picture.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then of course, I always read the comments and stuff like that on stuff that people do, and then there's always the real easy research that can be done on a lot of stupid shit people say. But anyway, here's Brian's rebuttal. This middle part here, right here, I was going to cut out, but for the sake of keeping it in context, I just left it in, so that nobody could say, "Oh, you took him out of context."
Right. Yep.
But this is just him explaining mainstream journalism, and why people like him are super important still.
Interviewing witnesses, that's journalism. We do that. We interview experts in the field. That's journalism. Summarizing the experts, well, that takes nuance and an editor and a reporter, not a curator. Real-time aggregation of the collective wisdom of tens of millions of people, well, you're just aggregating. That's not reporting. A reporter and an editor are necessary to be called a journalist. And
Ideas, thoughts?
Yeah, no. See, this is the smugness, the elitism that drives me. I get it. He went to college for this, and I
But
get
he's been
all
doing
that.
it for 40 years.
Right. Yeah.
So he's stuck in a system.
Right. I
that
think. Sorry, people
No,
like
go ahead, go ahead.
Brian. I think people like Brian, they're in their own bubble of the people doing the same thing, and like he doesn't know the plight of the working class or what they're going through, or and yeah, he interviews people of power, and so
Well, used to.
right.
Well, used to sit in the same room while somebody else interviewed him.
Yeah.
and he wrote some stuff down.
Exactly. So, sure, you report on what people of power want out there, and then you give them the voice, and then you get to spread their propaganda for them. That's what you do, pretty much, in my opinion.
Well, and also he's one of these guys who's been doing it for so long that he doesn't understand that newspapers and like when he says you need an editor and you need a journalist and you need the people to be there and do this stuff. That was back when we had newspapers and the evening news. That's back when we had limited resources, limited time, limited space to put the news. So you needed an editor.
Yeah.
And you needed a reporter, and you needed somebody to send your limited amount of reporters to the expansive amount of places that they need to be and decide which ones are which. It's like I tried to discuss this with him one time on X, and he just said, "Thank you for reading." Fuck that guy. Like I tried to explain this. News resources are infinite now.
Right.
Especially with social media. News resources are infinite. You don't need to be a reporter. You don't need a journalist. You don't need an editor. You because you're not worried about making sure something is newsworthy. These days, whatever somebody thinks is newsworthy. You only want to watch firefighter rescues cat from tree. You can watch all the stories of firefighter rescues cat from tree that you could possibly want in a day, all day long.
Yep.
Where that news doesn't sell papers.
Right. Yeah, these guys get stuck in their old, like, even it's different but the same. John thinks like a TV show is bigger than, like, he doesn't realize there are YouTubers that have bigger shows than network TV shows now. He doesn't get
Almost
that. You know
all
what
of
I
them.
mean? Right. So he sees that as, oh my God, you went on Joe Rogan. That's just a podcast, or whoever, someone else. It's like, well, dude, that's way bigger than any TV show you can go on right now. And they don't get the mediums have changed,
Or any radio show. Yeah, it's like
Right.
John thinks TV and radio and movies is where it's at.
Right.
Where no, it's when he says like Carl and Shuley and stuff, they've never done anything. It's like they have very popular podcasts.
Yes.
And that's more popular than radio right now.
Absolutely.
Let's keep going.
And for journalism to occur. Now, it's easier to define an act of journalism than it is to define what a journalist or who a journalist is. So let's stick to that. Journalism cannot be committed unless it's a team effort. That's just a fact.
Which is
Now,
completely unnecessary.
Elon knows nothing about journalism. He's never done it.
Oh.
Been in
Hey, Nick, you've
Yes.
never done journalism. I'm assuming you
No.
don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I get, like I said, this is the smugness again. And I get it to some extent. He's not, but like, I don't know. Maybe I don't. He does, like, the times have changed. And he doesn't get that. He feels threatened, I'm guessing. You know what I mean?
I bet that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Is like,
it's-
he's stuck on salon.com, which is a nothing
Yeah.
publication, and he's still trying to do journalism.
Right.
And
Yep.
he's not actually, where journalism today is, you have to actually go out yourself and go do things.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
in the business for 40 years. And
There we go.
Elon, I'll make you a deal. I won't design rockets, and you keep
Well, we
your
know you
mouth
won't.
shut about journalism because you know nothing about it.
Know everything about it. It's not rocket science.
Finally, he says newspapers don't correct their mistakes. Yeah, that's called an ombudsman, and we used to have.
This is where I was going to skip to, because this is like the meat and potatoes here. This
Okay.
is fantastic. You are going to love this.
Before the consolidation of the media and the cutting of staff.
Come on.
Yeah, before the consolidation of the media. Yeah, that's called an ombudsman, and we used to have them before the consolidation of the media and the cutting of staff. Yeah, we should have ombudsman, but you know what? Break up the media monopolies, diversify ownership, bring back the profit that is inherent in reporting vetted factual information, and voila, you could afford an ombudsman.
So Elon is right. They don't get corrected.
Yeah. 100%.
For these various reasons. So Elon is wrong that they don't get corrected, and these are the reasons why they don't get corrected. But
Yep.
the best is yet to come.
Okay.
Look, you want to see what passes for journalism on X?
Yes, we do.
Take a look at this.
Take a look.
That's right. That's a
Look
completely
under the.
fabricated quote. As Raskin said, quote, designed to undermine our election. That's what you get.
Literally a community note on it saying that did not happen.
If you cannot
So-
vet your facts and
proving the that's an ombudsman or whatever X style, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
like literally a community note saying this is a fake quote.
quote, designed to undermine our election. That's what you get if you cannot vet your facts. And that's what you get on X.
You mean
Number-
you get real time?
The one thing I'll give him is he didn't cut that out. Like he could have screenshotted it above the community note. But
Yeah, literally, I love
Yeah.
his thing. Like, oh, you think X corrects their stuff? Look at this with an actual fucking correction directly attached to it.
yeah, no. So I have to give it to Elon on that one. He's way more correct than Mr. Karem, who obviously feels threatened that his media the way he does reporting is dying down, less
And
important.
it is.
And
He
yeah,
doesn't
I
know what
wish
to
they
do.
vetted their facts a little better, but I don't believe they do.
I wish Brian vetted his facts at all.
No. And the smug way he said it and everything too.
I swear, I can vet debunk every single one of his articles probably in less time than it took for him to write it.
All right, my friend. I unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I have some company, so I gotta end
I was
this
gonna say,
thing.
you need
Yeah.
to go get some cinnamon rolls. Looks like
Yeah, yes.
cinnamon bread.
Vladimir is inside my house. We'll just say that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So just a quick announcement before we end this. As I told you last night, we're going. Army Major is going to be our quote unquote stuttering John. He's fascinating. If you guys don't watch, some of his shit. Next week's Dabbling in Politics is going to be just dedicated to him. And then once a week during the week, I'm going to try and either snipe one of his live streams or later in the night when Liquid Cryptic can come on, we will go over a live stream or whatever. The Army Major never disappoints. So we're going to have a second show called Majoring in Hypocrisy during the week. Just wait for more on that. It should be fun. And next week's Dabbling in Politics will be on Army Major. So hopefully Trump doesn't do anything crazy this week that we need to
Well,
talk
I mean,
about. He will,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
not too crazy. Let's just say
Right.
too
Crazy
crazy. It
for
will be
Trump,
crazy,
yeah.
but not super crazy.
All right. Thank you to everyone that came by. Thank you, Mr. Liquid Cryptid, for joining me once again. I know we usually talk off stream. I'm just telling you right when the song ends, I'm just ending. So I'll talk to you later. But I'm
All
gonna
right,
get to that.
I gotta get up and
Go.
go too. I got
Okay.
shit to do.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. See you next
Great
week.
afternoon, evening, night.
Peace.
Stuff, mumbling, pineapple stuff, dabbling, controversial stuff. Now I know y'all be loving this shit right here. NICK mumbling is right here. People in the house, put them hands in the air. Cause if you don't vote, then we don't care. 1, 2, 3 times 2 to the 6. Jonesing for your fix, so that dabble politics mix. So where the fudge you at, punk? Shut the fudge up and back the fudge up while we fudge this track up. On your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up, on your flags up. Retort in, now retort out. Hands up now, hands down. Back up, everyone's in full of ducks now. Republicans in now, Democrats out. Guns up now, hands down. Yo, we're doing it all the time, so you better get some better views and get saved up on your dime. So we got the gang set, so don't complain yet. 24/7, never begging for a rain check. Old school gavel is blasting out the political shit. The asking for shit, put bounce in the devil pit. On your flags up.